up, guys? In today's video, we're gonna react to what is SCP-999 War SCP-035. Ooh, that's gonna hurt. Wait, now let's play.
Life at the SCP Foundation isn't exactly made up of sunshine and rainbows. It's less of a good vibes kind of place and more of a this is the solemn work we do as we stand between humanity and the vast, unfeeling, unknowable realm of mystery and darkness. Sure, sometimes there's a magic vending machine or a teddy bear doctor, but most of the time, the Foundation's findings are a lot more bite than they are bark. Thankfully, there's the C portion of that infamous acronym, Contain. They keep their bizarre, astounding findings locked up tight, where they can't catch an unsuspecting innocent off guard and, oh, hey there, little buddy. It's okay, you didn't mean to scare me. Relax, everyone, it's just SCP-999. One of the only contained curiosities allowed to roam freely around the halls of the Foundation. Just look at this guy. Has a sentient mass of translucent orange slime ever been so cute? You want some chocolate, buddy? Okay, here you go. It's incredible, really, that the place that houses a neck-snapping sculpture and a haunted chess-playing machine could also be the home of such a delightful little blob. You know, now that I think of it,
I recognize this guy, but I forgot what number or SCP. What name is he? And I don't know. It's chess, but I don't know who this is. So that's
amazing that being in the vicinity of unspeakable horrors day after day has never put a damper on 999's positive attitude. He's got the persistent, cheerful disposition of a Labrador puppy, but how well would SCP-999's inherent wholesomeness hold up against one of the most wicked anomalies contained by the SCP Foundation? What would happen if the lightest of the light, a slimy piece of pure goodness, came up against a deep, dark evil? Not the omnicidal rage of SCP-682, we all know how that went, but something quieter. Well, let's find out. SCP-999 was having the best day of its life. To be fair, every single day was the best day of the Tickle Monster's life.
Tamaan. I'm doing a reaction video. Screaming in my videos.
Surpassed only by the day that followed and the one after that.
What?
And how could it not be a good life at the SCP Foundation when there were so many friends to play with?
Did you know that oily food can hurt your liver? Have it checked and take Essentiale, made with natural ingredients that help strengthen your liver cells. Help protect your liver with the #1 Essentiale.
Skip it.
Albion Online is a sandbox MMORPG in which you write your own story.
Life at the SCP Foundation, when there were so many friends to play with, treats to eat, and so much to explore. SCP-999 was enjoying a hearty bowl of M&Ms, picking out and eating the orange ones, its favorites first, when a familiar figure walked into its pen. Dr. Jack Bright, who frequently came by to see the Tickle Monster when he was having a disappointing day, usually because the higher-ups had reprimanded him for breaking the rules yet again. SCP-999 cooed delightfully at the sight of its visitor, slithering over to Dr. Bright and enveloping him in an enthusiastic hug. Dr. Bright immediately began to laugh as the creature's euphoric influence took effect. Hey, glad there are no hard feelings about the time I ate a piece of you. He giggled as 999 patted his face affectionately with one of its pseudopods. Aw, thanks. That really takes the sting out of getting the no chainsaws hammer brought down on me again. He patted the slime with his own hand in return, and satisfied that it had sufficiently cheered him, 999 oozed back over to its breakfast to finish consuming the sugary goodness. Oh, I almost forgot. Dr. Bright pulled something out of his lab coat pocket. It was a small can of cola, appealingly shiny in the light. Want some? SCP-999 gurgled curiously and approached Dr.
Wait, guys, I'm just gonna finish this later. I'm just gonna Okay, guys, let's finish it.
Bright to inspect the can. He popped it open with an inviting fizz and offered some. Fortunately, Dr. Rhodes was walking by at that exact moment. Don't you dare! She snatched the can out of her colleague's hand. You remember what happened last time. 999 can't tolerate caffeine or carbonation. Dr. Bright pouted like a petulant child. But I wanted to see it bounce. Do I need to add another rule to the list? Dr. Rhodes crossed her arms. Or are you going to behave yourself? Ugh, fine, whatever, I'll find something else to do. Dr. Bright rolled his eyes and left SCP-999's pen with a final friendly wave at the creature. Sensing Dr. Rhodes' stress, the tickle monster nuzzled her leg with an inquisitive gurgle. She smiled indulgently and gave the slime a hug before she followed Dr. Bright down the hall, keeping an eye out for any more potentially disruptive antics. Satisfied at having cheered everyone up, SCP-999 went back to its bowl of candy and devoured the remaining treats. But then there was nothing left to eat, and no one in the room to visit or play with. What was a lovable slime?
Guys, this is gonna be a long video. I just want to see SCP-999 to wear the mask.
Do. Why explore?
Okay.
Ano, tatusan ko na. Ayan, assisting. Ano ko?
Of course. SCP-999 had the freedom to roam all over the Foundation site, until bedtime, that is. And it loved oozing down the halls, looking for friends to greet and strangers to meet. After all, a stranger is just a friend that the tickle monster hasn't tickled yet. As the slime slid along the floor, it took the time to say hello to everyone it passed by, bumping them, nudging them, or in the case of Josie the half-cat, very gently petting her head with one of its pseudopods. The cat purred, and 999 responded by vibrating its gelatinous body, producing a soft purr of its own. Then Josie was distracted by a dust particle drifting through a beam of light.
Valular, not just 3 but 5 B vitamins.
Why on the lights?
Hey, what did you reincarnate as? I'm the Dragonfish King of the Eastern Seas.
Flight and darted off to chase it. So the tickle monster continued on its way, looking for something new and fun to do. It spotted the perfect new activity. 2 guards were walking into one of the sealed containment rooms, a room that the jolly little slime had never been inside of before. Now was the perfect chance to investigate, and maybe play tickle wrestling with the guards along the way. It had to act fast, though. The door was beginning to close. Rearranging its body, 999 squished itself into a long, thin line, sliding quickly through the crack in the door just before it shut. This new room was very messy, much messier than 999 was allowed to keep its own room. Any spilled chocolate milk or smeared cupcake frosting was either cleaned up by staff or slurped up by the slime itself. But in this room, there was thick black liquid dripping down all of the walls, some of it cleaned up by staff or slurped up by the slime itself. But in this room, there was thick black liquid dripping down all of the walls, some of it arranging itself into patterns and words, though 999 couldn't read what they said. The guards hadn't noticed the tickle monster's presence yet, and it kept still, excited to give them a wonderful surprise when they turned around and saw that it had followed them inside. But they didn't turn around. They were completely focused on something in front of them. What was it? It was a thick glass case that looked as if it was about to fall apart at any moment. Inside, there was a mask, a porcelain mask of a frowning face, with that same strange dark fluid dripping from its eye and mouth holes. "You know the procedure, right?" one guard said. He was holding a brand new glass case, shiny and completely empty. "Of course I do," the other scoffed. "It's my first time with this anomaly, not my first day on the job. Just open it up and take the mask out and put it in here." He tapped on the case he was holding. "As quickly as possible." "Yeah, I just said I know," the less experienced guard grumbled. "Don't patronize me." He reached towards the decaying case and prepared to unlock it. "Wait, did you hear that?" "Hear what?" "I thought I heard..." "Never mind." SCP-999 vibrated with excitement. Would they give it some well-deserved attention? Maybe play a game? But no, the guard wasn't talking about the eager orange pal behind him. He was feeling the influence of something much more sinister. "Do you want me to do it?" the more experienced guard offered. "No, just... You really don't hear that? That whispering?" His colleague just shook his head. "Fine. It's just been a long week, I guess." He sighed and popped the case open, reaching for the mask inside. As soon as his fingers made contact with the porcelain surface, the black goo dripping onto his skin where he should have been wearing protective gloves, his expression shifted. His eyes went blank, like someone sleepwalking, lost in a dream even as their body moved in the waking world. "Right. What are you waiting for?" The other guard nudged him, but Frank said nothing. He delicately lifted the mask out of the glass box, and before anyone could stop him, placed the frowning white face over his own. Only, it wasn't frowning anymore. As soon as its features slipped over Frank's, covering him, erasing him, its mouth curved into a malicious smile. "Frank, what the hell are you doing?" the guard cried out, as the man he had once known grabbed hold of his shoulders.
Not Frank anymore.
A voice came out from behind the ceramic lips, but it was different, cruel, cold, ancient.
Frank's gone out, I'm afraid. And he won't be back anytime soon.
The guard tried to break away from the masked man's grasp, tried to reach for the emergency alarm, to signal that the containment change had gone horribly wrong, but the mask shoved him into the wall, hard. The guard hit his head and slumped to the ground, unconscious and likely concussed. Well, SCP-999 has had just about enough of all of this. It hated seeing anyone hurt, especially humans, and clearly its help was sorely needed to make things better. It couldn't tell exactly what had upset the man in the mask so much that he was acting this way, but he knew one thing that always cheered humans up. It was time for a bit of good old-fashioned tickle wrestling. SCP-999 hurled itself across the room, enveloping Frank's body from his feet to his neck, and it began tickling him as it did. The force of 999's tackle sent Frank's body careening towards the ground, and when it landed with a heavy thud, the mask flew off his face and skittered across the floor. Now that it could see Frank's face, 999 looked for signs of laughter, of joy, but Frank was dead asleep, eyes closed, jaw slack. His heart was still beating, but he wouldn't wake up. Confused, concerned, and upset at what it had witnessed in this new room, the slime slithered along the floor toward the mask that had caused so much trouble.
I swear, if SCP-999 were where SCP-035, I'm gonna rage quit right now.
It seemed to be staring at 999 with its dark, vacant eyes. It didn't look like a toy. In fact, it looked like something that the slime should avoid touching. But it couldn't help but notice that
I think I just
the slime should avoid touching. But it couldn't help but notice that the face had changed back to a frown. Could 999 really leave the mask there on the floor frowning like that? The tickle monster couldn't help it. With a soft greeting by way of a high-pitched cooing noise, it reached out to the mask and picked it up. Though the slime creature didn't have a traditional face for the mask to sit on top of, its influence quickly grabbed hold of 999's gelatinous frame. It stopped moving, stopped gurgling, stopped looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. Right now, SCP-999 was being piloted by the possessive mask, and it was looking for a way out. Once it escaped containment, it could find a new host, a proper host, with arms, legs, and a mouth. But for now, this undignified vehicle would have to do. It took the mask some time to learn how to pilot this strange, soft body, with its malleable form and odd methods of moving itself around the room. But it slowly adjusted, and wearing the silhouette of the tickle monster like a disguise, oozed out of its containment room and into the hall. Staff walking by barely even noticed 999's presence. They were too preoccupied with their work. They were used to seeing it and giving it a polite nod, but most of them didn't have the time to stop and say a proper hello at this time of day. Perhaps this would be easy after all. The mask had lost its chosen host, but found something even better. The perfect cover, and the chance to hide in plain sight. It could take in the lay of the land, scope out potential exit routes, and ideally slide out of Foundation custody completely unnoticed. The mask began to smile at the thought. As the mask steered SCP-999's body around the site, a peculiar feeling began to gnaw at the back of its mind, like an itch it couldn't quite scratch, something irritating that wouldn't leave it alone. What was that feeling? Inside...
Do you still need the tablet?
Oo, sana din.
Of its own consciousness, the mask heard a sound. A sweet, high-pitched gurgle. No, that was impossible. And yet somehow, the consciousness of the tickle monster had survived in the face of the mask's power. It was there, still needling at the mask's darkness, with that insipid, insistent kindness.
Shut up!
the mask hissed, frowning.
This body belongs to me now. Why won't you just die?
Another gurgle, this one even louder, more difficult to shut out. Did this infernal thing ever shut up? The mask stopped moving for a moment, concentrating the force of its will. It would drive SCP-999's mind away and re-establish dominance. Just as the mask was grappling with the influence of SCP-999, however, a familiar figure turned down the hall. It was Dr. Rhodes from earlier. SCP-999's exuberance bubbled up to the surface, and the mask couldn't stop its mouth from flipping back to a smile. What? No, that was ridiculous. And yet the longer the mask was in contact with the vibrant orange slime, so delighted by every familiar and unfamiliar face it encountered, it could feel that horrible, positive influence growing stronger and stronger. It was a nauseating, warm, fuzzy feeling that just made him want to. The mask let out a giggle, then another, and before long it was in the midst of an absolute giggling fit. The mask had laughed before, it had laughed plenty of times, but it was usually a mocking laugh. A cackle of triumph. This was a giggle, though, of pure joy, the sort of sound a small child makes as they chase a butterfly through a field. This was the sound of innocence, of happiness. It was love.
Now you listen to me, you vile little worm.
The mask growled. It wasn't certain if 999 could even understand it, but it had to show this rebellious creature who was really in charge.
Release your grip on me. I have won. You have lost. Your form is mine, and you, nothing more than a puppet for me to pull on your strings and use you to my own ends. Show some respect and defer to me.
The voice of the slime creature whimpered in the mask's mind, a sound like a chastised puppy slinking away with its tail between its legs.
That's more like it.
The mask huffed. Dr. Rhodes looked up from her clipboard and spotted SCP-999. She waved, about to greet the creature, when she noticed the horrible mask perched on top. She dropped her clipboard in shock, gasping at the sight.
No,
she breathed, heart sinking as she saw one of the purest pieces of good in all of the Foundation fall into the forces of the mask.
That's right.
The mask would have puffed out its chest, if this body had a chest to puff.
I've taken a new host. Do you like my selection?
It relished the tearful look in the woman's eyes, the horror that caused her hands to shake and her cheek.
Guys, I thought SCP-035 can talk. Guys, comment down below.
Cheeks to go pale.
Show me the way to the exit, so I might take my leave of this place, and perhaps
You've got the best deals and delicious food.
I will spare your life.
The mask was just gearing up for a good threat, a really nightmarish one filled with vivid descriptions of mutilation and violence, when that disgusting feeling began to rise up again. That warmth, that buoyancy, it made the mask want to,
Please don't be sad. Here, let me give you a hug.
Before it could stop itself, the mask slithered the tickle monster's body over to Dr. Rhodes, wrapping around her tightly. Not to hurt her, no, to embrace her, to comfort her. Her horror turned to laughter as the mood-lifting effect of 999's presence began to work its magic. Through her laughter, she was also confused. Why? She couldn't finish the question, but it was enough to break the mask out of the spell. It reared back, horrified of its actions.
What have I done? What have I done?
It slithered quickly down the hall around the corner, away from that woman who had evoked such fond feelings towards her. No, towards all of humanity. The mask steered its body into a bathroom, coming face to face with a mirror. It stared at its reflection, its familiar face and dark eyes dripping their usual fluid, perched atop this alien thing poisoning its mind.
What did you do to me? What sort of magic is this?
Of course, 999 did not answer, but the mask could feel its presence, could feel its delight in the impact it was having.
You're ruining me.
The mask groaned.
I strike terror into hearts. I drive men to madness. I rend their sanity in two.
It trailed off, overwhelmed again by the urge to smile, to laugh, to frolic. Though it didn't have a working nose, the mask could swear it smelled an array of heavenly scents, of fresh roses breaking bed in a stone oven, vanilla, and lightly burnt brown sugar. It reached for itself with its pseudopods, about to tear itself off of the slimy body altogether, but it paused.
Ah, very clever. I see what your game is. It lowered the pseudopods, brimming with determination. You won't trick me into sparing your life. Once I found my freedom and host worthy of me, I will destroy you. Once and for all. But even as the mask made this declaration, the black liquid seeping from its eyes and mouth began to change, to take on a lighter appearance. Was it a trick of the light? No, it was orange. Like the gelatinous flesh of the horde creature it had made the mistake of attaching to. No matter how hard the mask fought, the influence of SCP-999 was spreading. Its mind raced, trying to come up with a new plan, a way to hold on to its identity. But the sound of an alarm blaring outside the bathroom spurred it to get a move on.
Okay, got it.
Clearly, Dr. Rhodes had alerted someone that the mask had reached containment. Time was running out. It needed to find the exit fast. It was now or never. The mask oozed back into the hall, speeding up as it went, trying desperately to find a way out before whatever transformation had begun could complete itself. But even as it struggled, it could feel itself changing, warping. It burst into giggles again and whistled a happy tune. It stopped running for a moment, to wave at an armed guard and blow them a kiss. Why had it wanted to leave this facility in the first place? Everyone here was so kind, was so lovely, was its best friend.
No, must resist, must not give into the optimism, to the happiness, to the goodness.
If the mask had teeth, it would have been clenching them, trying to stem the tide of joyful noises that threatened to burst out. It felt like something was tickling it, and the tickling just wouldn't stop.
Stop it!
The mask dissolved into giggles again.
I mean it!
It could feel something coming, something big. A loud cracking sound rang out, and just as the guards were closing in on the possessed tickle monster, they watched in awe as cracks spread across the surface of the possessive mask, and all at once, it shattered into pieces. The pieces fell to the floor, where they pulled themselves back together with strands of black goo. Meanwhile, SCP-999 sat there, bouncing with glee, completely unharmed. The tickle monster received an extra special ice cream sundae for its bravery and amazing work, and the mask was returned to its containment chamber in a brand new glass case. As the mask suffered an identity crisis for the first time in its existence, SCP-999 curled up in its pen, full of sugar and gratitude, and got some well-deserved rest. Now go check out SCP-999 Tickle Monster versus the most evil SCPs, and the whole story What If SCP-096 Wore SCP-035 for more story.
Guys, that's it for today. Until next